Welcome back, boys and girls. We're back on brilliant.org, still on the basic mathematics warm-up. So let's get started on the mental shortcuts basics quiz. That's a tongue twister right there. All right, let's get going. We have our mossy green. Let me pull out my pen. All right. Which of the following is equivalent to calculating 20% of 36? Well, this isn't mossy green. This is bubblegum pink. Let's change it to our mossy green. All right. What is 20%? Now, for these basic mathematics videos, I really want to, be able to explain something to someone who doesn't even know what 20% means. So let's first start with that, okay? 20%. Well, first of all, what is a percent? A percent is always some number. It's some number over 100. So in this case, 20% would be what? Well, it's 20 over 100. And it means as a fraction is always what? A fraction is part over total. And so 20% is like saying you get 20 for every 100. And if you simplify 20 down to as far as it can go, you'll get 20 over 100 is 2 over 10, which is 1 over 5. And so 1/5 is equivalent to 20%. So if we had a box over here and we have the whole box, the total thing, oops, let's get my pen. The whole box is 36, as that's our total. To find 20%, what would we do? Well, the whole box is 36. 20% is equivalent to 1/5. So if we cut the box up into 5 pieces, 2, 3, 4, those aren't, let's get a little bit more accurate. 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces, 5 pieces. 20% would just be one of these pieces. It's 1 out of 5. So if you wanted to know this value, what would you do? And that's essentially what the question is. If 36 is the whole thing, what is 20% of 36? So this is kind of how we can visualize it, and there's lots of ways to figure this out. This problem it's looking for a specific answer. You might find an answer and it might not be over here. But first, let's try to eliminate some answer choices. I'm looking at this first answer choice right now, and I know it has to be wrong. This can't be the answer. And why can't 36 times 2 be the answer? Well, it's because 20% is just part of our total 36, so our answer is definitely smaller than 36. Our answer is actually 1/5 of 36. Let me write that down. Our answer is 1/5 of, the word of in mathematics 95% of the time means to multiply. So 1/5 times 36 is going to be our answer. However, we see that we don't have that here, so we're going to have to do some figuring out, right? Well, so let's go with this. Well, what else is 1/5? Well, we see up here, we started with 20 over 100. What if we converted this to a decimal to begin with? Okay, let me get some room. Let me erase some stuff. So we know a fraction is just a number out of 100. And in our example, we had 20. So we have 20 out of 100. And let's cut these zeros off. So we have 2 over 10. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with decimals and their values, but here is 0, and then what's the first value after 0? What goes here? Like, what place is this? And what I'm going for is this is the tenths place. Tenths. So if we have here this fraction, how would you name it? You would name it 2/10. So it as a decimal is simply 2/10. This is a really easy fraction to convert to a decimal because they share a common name. And so 2/10 is this as a fraction, and then again we need to multiply it by 36. So 1/5 times 36 is equivalent to 0.2 times 36. And again, we go to our answer choices and we don't see this anywhere listed. What does stick out to me though is this answer choice D, this fourth and final answer choice. What's different with it here? Well, what they did was they multiplied this side by 10. This is times 10, and they did that to shift the decimal to the other side of the 2. And then with the 36, the decimal is always naturally at the end. Since they multiplied this side by 10, they divided this side by 10 so that it could remain even. And they shifted the decimal place over and put it here. Therefore, if we write that all out and see it for what it is, we would have 2 times 3.6 as our answer. And this is our answer. And I hope that explanation makes some sense. If it doesn't, if you need some further explanation, comment down below and I'll be sure to get to you and make sure it's crystal clear. So let's submit. All right, good work. Next problem. What is this saying? Instead of multiplying by 5, it might be easier to multiply by 10. Which of these is an easier version of 72 times 5? So what they mean by this, it might be easier to multiply by 10, is that a handy little mental mathematics trick is if you're multiplying a number by 5, you can instead multiply by 10 and then divide by 2. And let's think of an easy example. What if we just had 5 times 12? I would hope most of you know that this is 60. You could think of a clock, and that clock's hands go every 5 minutes, and that if it's up pointing at the 12, then that's been a whole hour, and this is 60 minutes. That's another way to think about it. But let's say you didn't know this, or it just 5s and 12s just weren't your cup of tea. What you could do is instead you could do 12 times 10, which is 120, and then you can divide by 2, and that's 60. And this comes in handy whenever you are dealing with things like 72 times 5. You might not know 72 times 5, but you do know 72 times 10. Let's clear the board and write this out. Clear the board. We do know that 72 times 10, well, if you multiply anything by 10, you just add a 0 to it. So this is 720. And then you cut it in half. Well, cutting this in half is 360. So 360 is our answer. So our answer here is A. Now, why does this maybe look a little bit different? It's because they divided this value, that they divided the value of 72 by 10 to begin with, or by 2 to begin with. They first cut 72 in half and got 36, and then they multiplied by 10. Either way, the way I just did it or the way they did it is perfectly valid. Choose whichever way you think is easiest. All right, so let's submit our answer. Awesome. Next problem. Which of these gives a nice shortcut to compute 34 times 11 in your head? So I like this quiz. It's giving you some nice tidbits into some good mental math. So how can we do 34 times 11 in your head? Oh, I'm not even looking at the answer choices, so I'm going to even scribble them out. I'm going to tell you how I do it, and then we'll see what these answer choices are. How I would do it is, well, you have to remember what multiplication is. And multiplication is just, in this example, it's 34 plus 34 plus 34. And you do this, you add it up 11 times. This is a total of 11 times. So what could we do is we could take the first part of this. We can take this 34 through all of them until the last one. We could do 34 times 10, and then we could just tack on, we could just add another 34, and that would be our answer. And we know, well, 34 times 10 is 340, and then add a 34 to it, and then, oh, well, this is 374. And so this is kind of how you would do it in your head. So let's erase this. Let's see what they had suggested. And here, yes, you can see that they had a nice 340 plus 34, which is exactly what we did. So let's submit our answer. Awesome, great work. Go to the next problem. Let's see what it is. Which of these is equivalent to 8888 times 5? So, well, there's lots of different answers for this, so let's think about it. So whenever multiplying numbers in your head, there's lots of little tricks you can do. We just learned a multiply by 5 trick, and what was that? It was cut it in half and multiply by 10 instead. So this would be 4 times 4, or 4,444 times 10. And I hope you can see that these are equivalent statements. These are equal. And again, we're halving here from here to here, it's half. And from here to here, it's times 2. So we took a 2 away from here. We kind of factored out a 2. We cut it in half. But then we put that 2 back in over on this right-hand side and changed the 5 to a 10. And so it balances it all out, and it makes it good to go. So this answer must be D. Great. Let's see this last problem. Clear the board up. When calculating 100 minus 36 by hand, we have to do a lot of borrowing. It would be much easier to subtract from 99 instead. Which of the following is equivalent to 100 minus 36? So what are they talking about? We have 100 minus 36, and the typical way to do this is to do, like what they said, a bunch of borrowing. Bottom number is bigger, so you borrow. We have to borrow from these guys. Make this a 9 or a 10, and then a 0 over here. So 10 minus 6 is 4. 10 minus, or this would be 9. My bad, guys. 9 minus 3 is 6. And so that's what we do to get our answer. However, if borrowing is easy to mess up, I mean, you literally just saw me mess up in my borrowing, so it can be tricky, and making these silly mistakes is frustrating. So what are they suggesting? They're suggesting, instead of doing 100 minus 36, do 99. Nines, you're not going to be borrowing from them. And if we did 1 less here, then what should we do here? If we subtracted 1 from 100, we should also subtract 1 from 36 and do 99 minus 35. And here we have 9 minus 5 is 4, 9 minus 3 is 6, and we get the same answer as 64. We're kind of just manipulating our question in order to make the math simpler and easier to solve. Something I also do personally, instead of doing this change to 99 method, I still stay at 100. But then I just round my other number up. I would round this up to 40, minus 40, I know that's 60. And then what did I do? I added 4 to my 36 to make it 40, so I need to add 4 to my answer to make it 64. This is the way I personally think about it whenever I do mental math. However, again, no answer is wrong. I do like this 99 method. It does come in handy. And so yeah, choose whichever one you like. So this is going to be 99 minus 35. Submit the question. Awesome. There we go. There was mental shortcuts basics. In the next video, we're going to do numerical patterns warm-up. I hope you find something useful there. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Please comment down below what you would like to see in future videos. It means a bunch. Take care. Bye.